Donald Trump has unleashed war on Iran, on a mission to wipe out its leaders, destroy its ballistic missiles, degrade its military, and put an end to its nuclear program once and for all. Since the first wave of American and Israeli bombs fell on February the 28th, thousands of strikes have been carried out on these targets. But how many of those strikes were successful? How much damage did they cause? And what does that tell us about who is winning this war? Satellite imagery is perhaps the best way to judge, and already images of key Iranian sites have revealed much about the successes and failures of the early days of this conflict. We're going in depth to analyse this imagery and tell you what it means on this episode of Photo Evidence. One of the first targets of Operation Epic Fury, the American bombing campaign, and Operation Roaring Lion, the Israeli campaign, was Iran's leadership. This is the presidential compound in Tehran, the residence of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. The 86-year-old lived here with several members of his family, we presume in these buildings at the northeastern end of the compound. Next door is a mosque, where Khamenei held prayers, and beside that, the offices of Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian. At the southwestern corner were the offices of the Supreme Leader, where Khamenei held weekly meetings with his senior officials, and sometimes welcomed foreign dignitaries. One of those meetings was due to take place on the morning of February the 28th, around 9:40 a.m. Israeli intelligence, which had hacked street cameras around the palace, confirmed the arrival of several high-ranking figures. And a CIA human source on the ground confirmed the meeting was about to begin. Israel then deployed fighter jets to launch long-range air-to-ground missiles out the compound. This was the result. In this satellite image, the first taken of the compound following a Saturday morning strike, you can see damage to two distinct areas, here and here. One of those blasts, likely the one at the northeastern end on the family buildings, is thought to have killed Khamenei, along with at least 4 of his relatives. Iranian state media said his daughter, granddaughter, daughter-in-law, and son-in-law died alongside him. The second blast, presumably the one on the offices at the southwestern end, killed a number of senior Iranian officials who were due to meet Khamenei. They included the Commander-in-Chief of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Minister of Defense, the head of the Military Council, the Commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force, and the Deputy Intelligence Minister. The pattern of damage suggests high-precision munitions were used in the strike rather than wide-area bombardment. Damage is concentrated only in the areas targeted, with minimal damage visible to surrounding structures. Israel has several long-range air-to-ground missiles, 3 of which seem ideally suited to the strike. One is the Rampage, a supersonic missile designed for precision strikes against high-value fixed targets of a time-sensitive nature. Another is Rox. This has advanced homing features and so is designed to be used in areas where GPS jamming is active and is capable of blowing up highly protected targets like underground bunkers. Then there's Israel's Blue Sparrow, a medium-range ballistic missile capable of striking targets as small as a pool table from more than 1,000 kilometers away. In total, it is thought 30 missiles were used in this operation. Next up is Iran's nuclear sites. Destroying these and thus preventing Iran from ever developing a nuclear weapon was one of the main reasons Trump gave for launching the war. This is Natanz, in central Iran, home to a major uranium enrichment plant. This is what turns low-grade uranium of the kind used for nuclear fuel into weapons grade, used for bombs. Here's an image of the site taken on March the 1st. Above ground, we can see a number of support buildings, which are thought to contain things like air conditioners and ventilation for the underground portion of the site. This building here, at the bottom of the image, is a dummy structure, designed to hide the pedestrian and road entrances into the underground portion of the site. As you can see here, this dummy structure has already been hit in a strike. Below ground is where Iran is thought to store the centrifuges, which are essential to making highly enriched uranium, one step away from weapons grade. This site was heavily bombed by the US and Israel during the 12-day war last year, during which much of this equipment was likely damaged or destroyed. Since then, Iran had repaired the site, though it is unlikely it had returned to full operation. However, that didn't stop the US and Israel from hitting it again. This image, taken on March the 2nd, shows the buildings covering the vehicle and pedestrian entrances have been flattened. But why would America and Israel strike an out-of-use nuclear site? 2 reasons. First, they may have reason to believe that it was in the process of being repaired, and so hit it again to put out of use, potentially for good. But second, they could have been striking simply to bury the site along with any highly enriched uranium stored there. One of the biggest fears of the current war is surely that the Iranian regime, facing being wiped out, will try and quickly turn whatever uranium it has into a bomb, and then launch it at whatever target it thinks it can hit, very likely Israel. Before the 12-day war, Iran was thought to have a breakout time of just a week. That is, the time it would take to go from highly enriched uranium to weapons grade. That almost certainly got longer after the 12-day war, but may well have remained short enough to worry the US and Israel this time around. Burying the highly enriched uranium and the centrifuges needed to turn it into weapons grade is therefore a key objective, even if neither of them can be fully destroyed. Also on the American and Israeli target list were Iranian missile bases. One such base is located in Tabriz, in northwestern Iran. This is the base before the attack. Here you can see roadways leading into reinforced concrete entranceways, tunnels into the mountainside. Beneath these mountains are thought to be a network of tunnels that Iran uses to hide some of its medium-range ballistic missiles, which are capable of reaching Israel. Two such missiles stored at this site are thought to be the Ghada and Imad. With a maximum range of between 1,000 and 1,200 miles, they can carry warheads weighing from 1,600 to 1,900 pounds. It isn't clear how many of these weapons are stored at the site, but Iran is thought to possess thousands of them. In the event of an Iranian attack on Israel, transporter-erector launchers, basically mobile missile platforms, would drive out these tunnels and park on the roadway. From there, they would be able to launch their missiles at Israel before driving back underground again. This is the same site on March the 1st, after being hit by strikes during the opening days of the war. Immediately, differences are apparent around the mouths of the tunnels. When we zoom in here, the structural outlines appear altered with access points showing signs of collapse. Military analysts say that targeting tunnel entrances is a strategic way to temporarily degrade launch capability without needing to penetrate deeply buried storage chambers. Further along the access road network, several crater marks are visible. We can assume that these are consistent with precision air-delivered strikes, either by air-to-ground missiles fired from attack jets or ship-launched cruise missiles. The IDF also released a video reportedly showing aircraft at Tabriz airport being struck. Israeli defense sources have claimed that F-4 and F-5 fighter jets were destroyed on the ground. The Tabriz missile base was also targeted in June 2025 by Israeli airstrikes. The third prong of Israel and America's strike campaign was to degrade or destroy the Iranian military. Its navy was among the first casualties. This is Konarak, a key naval base on the south coast of Iran near the Gulf of Oman. It is located close to the Strait of Hormuz, a key shipping lane through which a fifth of the world's oil passes. The base also plays host to some of Iran's largest warships, the Muj-class frigate, a domestically produced design, and Bayonder-class corvette, which were given to Iran by the US before the regime came to power. Both of these classes carry anti-ship missiles, which could have been used to attack American warships in the Arabian Sea, or commercial tankers trying to transit through the strait, with the aim of shutting down international oil supplies. This satellite image reveals extensive damage to those warships following strikes on February the 28th. You can see plumes of smoke billowing from the complex. Zoomed-in imagery shows that smoke is coming from a warship which seems to have taken a direct hit. Additional imagery once the smoke has dissipated reveals the full extent of the damage. The vessel on fire has since been identified as the Iris Jamaran, a Muj-class frigate, seen here on the far left of the image. To the right of that vessel are two further warships, one which appears mostly submerged, and another partially submerged, having listed on her side. These have been identified as Iris Bayandor and Iris Nagdi, Iran's last two Bayandor-class corvettes. They served for decades as one of Iran's primary small warships tasked with patrol, escort, and coastal defense, before being struck and partially sunk in this attack. Further to the right, in an empty area of the dock, ocean analysts believe two Henderson-class patrol boats were likely struck and sunk while moored. These craft are small, but have been used by Iran in the past to harass ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Additional damage is visible on the harbour side, as two large warehouse-type buildings have been blown to pieces. This is a major blow to Iran's naval patrol, coastal defense, and surface strike capabilities. Images also show strikes on a nearby airbase. Hardened concrete shelters were penetrated by precision-guided munitions, leaving 4 large holes in the tops of each. These types of shelter are typically used to protect aircraft from overhead strikes. Scorch marks in front of each shelter, visible here, indicate they failed at their jobs. Such marks could have been caused by burning oil or fuel, indicating the shelters were in use when they were struck. More damage is visible in an area located between the two innermost aircraft shelters, possibly indicating an attack on vehicles or supplies used to maintain the jets. Meanwhile, this image shows yet more strikes on the airbase at Konarak, this time at what is believed to be a drone facility. Again, you can see a large warehouse-type building has been flattened, likely through a combination of the missile used to strike it and ordnance stored inside. There's also damage to a number of surrounding structures, though it is not clear exactly what these were used for. Bandar Abbas, another naval base located near the Strait of Hormuz, has also been hit by missile strikes. This base served as the premier maritime gateway for Iran and the primary operational hub for both the Iranian Navy and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. Two primary areas of damage can be seen, centered around this vessel moored in the outer part of the port, and around this dock in the inner part of the port. Heavy black smoke is billowing from both, indicating burning fuel or oil. This vessel is believed to be the INS Makran, a former oil tanker converted for military use, which appears to be heavily damaged. Makran was intended as a floating command center, capable of deploying helicopters, divers, and speedboats, and perhaps even mounting missile systems on her large, open-topped deck. At over 200 meters in length, it used to be the largest military vessel in Iran's naval service. According to a covert shores report just days before the strikes took place, the inner part of the harbour was occupied by a number of warships, midget submarines, and a full-size submarine in dry dock. The area covered by smoke in the most recent image was playing host to two frigates, a spy ship and the dry dock submarine. It is hard to tell their fates because of the smoke, though it appears at least one of the frigates and potentially the full-size submarine have been hit and possibly destroyed. While much of the campaign focused on Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure, not all of the strikes were precise. In the south of Iran, US forces hit a girls' school in the city of Manab, killing at least 165 people, including children. The school, Shajara Tayyabe Girls' School, sits adjacent to a naval base belonging to the IRGC, which had previously been targeted. Historical satellite imagery helps contextualize the location. In Google Maps imagery from 2013, the school appears to have been part of the IRGC complex. By 2016, the building had been walled off and separated from the military base, functioning as a civilian school. Based on the objectives Trump set at the start of the war, removal of the regime, ending of the nuclear program, destruction of the missiles, and degradation of the military, we can see the campaign has so far been a tactical success. All these key objectives have been hit, and hit successfully. Much of Iran's leadership is dead, its nuclear sites are unusable, its missiles have been degraded, and its navy is a smoking ruin. But tactical success is not the same as strategic victory. The IRGC is still fighting, and the regime continues to function. Trump seems to have gambled on the Iranian people rising up and overthrowing the government to bring this war to an end. The problem with that theory of victory is that it takes control of the process out of his hands. As much as he might want to force people out onto the streets, ultimately that's up to them. And we've seen no signs, on satellite or otherwise, of that happening yet. Even if they do seize control, there's no guarantee that they will put into power someone that Trump and Netanyahu are willing to accept. More to the point, the IRGC and other protest factions may not accept them either, meaning the war will continue and perhaps even deepen, spiraling into sectarian violence. So, for all their tactical success, and we've seen plenty of evidence of that, strategic victory may be out of Trump and Netanyahu's hands,